Hi, I'm Charla with Freezer Meals 101. Today, we're gonna quickly whip up some pasta bakes for the freezer. If you're a fan of pasta, then you're gonna wanna stick with us today while we make these simple dishes that you can pull out whenever you need a really delicious weeknight meal. The first thing that I'm gonna make is a little twist on our usual baked tortellini Alfredo. Now, this recipe and the other recipes will be in the description below, or you can find them in our Freezer Meals 101 club, and you'll find the link to that in the description below as well. You just click on the video title to open that box up. Okay, back to these baked tortellini Alfredo. It is a classic around here, and I know a lot of you love it. I have a lot of feedback from this recipe, and everyone kind of raves about it, especially how simple it is to put together, and the fact that the tortellini bakes up right in the sauce. So no need to mess with extra dishes or extra time baking the tortellini up ahead. And today is no different, but the thing that is different is someone in our Freezer Meals 101 group let me know that they had tried it with, instead of 2 jars of Alfredo, 1 jar of Alfredo and 1 jar of pasta sauce to kind of create a rosé. And they said it was amazing. So that's what we're gonna do today. That's the only change we're gonna make, but I'm really looking forward to giving this a try. I love it when you guys give us your suggestions of things that you've tried and what's worked for you really well. I also love hearing feedback from you of how you enjoyed our recipes. So this one, we're just gonna take tortellini, the Alfredo sauce, the pasta sauce, some mozzarella cheese, and we're gonna mix that all together in this bowl here. Now for this recipe, you can add mix-ins in, so you can do bacon or cooked chicken, sun-dried tomatoes, frozen peas. There's a myriad of options that you can do, and there is a list in the recipe of suggestions, but today we're gonna do diced onion and sliced mushrooms. So this is 3 cheese tortellini, so this will be a vegetarian dish. So we're just gonna dump all of these things into our bowl. I like these Classico jars because I like to wash them out after and then use them as mason jars. And they even have measurements on the side, so I like the look of them and I find them super handy. Plus, then nothing goes to waste because you're reusing the jar. For this jar, I will have to put it in the glass recycle, so it's not as great of an option, but you know, still, I think you can get actually the pasta sauce jars in these same jars, but they didn't have it at the store when I was there. Now we're just going to add some grated Parmesan into a medium-sized bag. And we're gonna staple this bag to the other bag. Now you can make the baked tortellini in a casserole dish or directly in an aluminum pan. And if you do that, then you would top it with the Parmesan cheese and then put some plastic wrap on top and then cover it with foil. And on the day that you go to take it out of the freezer to bake it, you would of course take the plastic wrap off first. Very important step. I always put a note on the foil reminding myself with like an asterisk that I need to take the plastic wrap off before baking because I don't want to make that mistake. Anyway, then you're gonna top it again with the foil and bake it covered, and it'll already have the Parmesan on top and everything. Now I like to, when possible, store things in the freezer bags because they take up less space in the freezer. So in this case, I'm just gonna be affixing this to the large bag with the stapler, and then on the day that I go to make it, I'll top it with the Parmesan. I am looking forward to giving that classic tortellini Alfredo, but with the rosé sauce, a try and seeing what our family thinks of that. You might be able to hear, but right now I've got 2 pots of water on to boil, and I'm gonna be adding pasta for our next 2 pasta bakes in there, because for those ones, we're gonna cook the pasta up ahead and then mix it in. Now, the trick when you're making pasta bakes, and this is really important, is if you're making them for the freezer, then you wanna cook the pasta a little bit undercooked. So you wanna do a minute or 2 under what the package directions recommend, because that way you're not gonna get mushy noodles. Because when you go to bake your pasta, it's gonna cook a little bit more, and so then you'll get exactly the right consistency and texture and all of that for your pasta. So that is the freezer meal trick to how to freeze pasta when it's already cooked. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and put the pasta in, and I'll be back. So now I've got the 2 sets of pasta cooking. Before I made the Alfredo tortellini rosé whatchamacallit thing, can't say that anymore because it's not really Alfredo. So it's baked tortellini rosé, baked rosé tortellini. There you go. Before I started the baked rosé tortellini, I went ahead and fried up some vegetables just to soften them, and that way they can go into our pasta bake and they'll be all cooked already. Now the great thing about this just kind of very simple vegetarian pasta bake that we're doing next is that everything in it is already cooked. All you're doing is baking it on the day of. You could even make it from frozen, although I'll say that I have not tried that, so you would have to bake it for quite a bit longer if you're cooking it from frozen. But this is a really nice kind of comfort food dish and works really well for those busy weeknights. Because it has vegetables in there, you technically wouldn't need to have anything with it, although you could serve it with a side salad. So now that our noodles are drained and rinsed under cold water, we've put them into a foil casserole dish, and then we're adding those nice sauteed vegetables, just giving those a stir. Then you can put in whatever pasta sauce you want, whether it's jarred or homemade. Just use your favorite or whatever is on sale at your local grocery store. You're gonna stir that in until it's really well combined, and then you're gonna top it with some mozzarella cheese and a little bit of Parmesan. Now, the Parmesan isn't completely necessary, so if you're finding that it's quite expensive where you are, you can skip that step. But that shredded mozzarella is going to give you that really cheesy, good flavor on the day that you have it. I added some Italian seasoning into mine just to make the pasta sauce a little bit more flavorful, because this time I did use a jarred pasta sauce. On the day that you bake this, you want to cover it at first, and then towards the end of baking, you take the cover off just for like the last 10 minutes or so, or you can just broil it for the last 2 or so minutes. But if you decide to broil it, then be sure to keep a super close eye on it, because of course you don't want it to burn. But it is nice to do the broil just because you get that nice bubbly cheese effect at the end. And the last recipe that we're going to make today is a new to me recipe, and it is a chicken tetrazzini. I think that the flavors in here are going to be really good. I know that they're things that our family generally likes, so I'm anticipating that this one will be a hit, especially with some of my girls who prefer blander food, whereas my boys and my husband and I love everything spicy. So this will be like kind of a good compromise for the girls, because we often cook spicy things. So in this recipe, everything again is cooked. The chicken is already cooked, So on the day that we go to bake this, everything is pretty much done. You're just reheating. And if you wanted to, if you are cooking for just yourself, what you could do is you could go ahead and mix this up in your bowl and then divide it into your individual aluminum trays or those individual freezer safe, microwave safe containers that I use when I do the single serve freezer meals. Oh, I will put a link right up there to a video of me doing just freezer meals for one person, and a lot of those are microwave, like freezer to microwave, kind of very easy, really nice for either lunches, or if you live on your own and you're just cooking for one, or even if you're cooking for two, that's a really nice option. So all of these meals that we made today actually would work really well in individual portions. And for this one, and well, all of them actually, because everything is pre-cooked, you could go ahead and put them into those individual containers and heat them either in the oven or in the microwave. So we're gonna get to this one and I'm gonna show you exactly how I made it. In a large bowl, you're gonna mix melted butter, cream of mushroom soup, sour cream, some chicken broth, salt, garlic, pepper, a little bit of parsley, and whisk that all together. And then you're gonna add cooked chicken. I went ahead and used shredded chicken just because it's so easy to shred it with the electric hand mixer. And I cooked it up in the Instant Pot and easily, quickly shredded it. So I had it ready for this recipe. And then when that is all mixed together, then you're gonna stir in your cooked drained noodles. I used penne for this, but really you could use any pasta noodle. I think the original recipe called for linguine, the original recipe that I'm loosely basing it off of anyway. And so you're gonna stir that all in, fold in those noodles, and then I transferred mine into a casserole dish because I want to be able to bake it right from here. Now you could put this in a large freezer bag and then staple a smaller bag with your cheeses on top, or sorry, to the top of the bag, but I'm just going ahead and putting it all in the casserole dish and then topping it with my shredded mozzarella cheese and my grated Parmesan. I am looking forward to giving this one a try. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know this was like a much quicker than usual video, and we only made 3 recipes where we usually make a heck of a lot more than that. But I just wanted to show you how easily you can make pasta bakes ahead, because it's a question that I get quite often. So here you go. Now you know that you can freeze pasta, but you do have to remember those few tips about, undercooking it slightly, and about how you store and serve it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm gonna put a link right there to one of the videos I did on single serving freezer meals in case that is of interest to you. And I would love to hear how these pasta bakes or any of the recipes that you've gotten from me go for you. Happy cooking!